All right, Sistas fans. First of all, hope everybody's having a great day. It is actually pretty sunny here for the first time in a while, so spirits are high and the mood is good, at least in my neck of the woods. But this particular episode of Sisters, season 7, episode 5, hanging in the balance. I it It was slightly better than last week, so I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. If you remember, I gave last week a 6 out of 10. This one edged it out just a little bit more. But at the same time, this episode kind of suffered from the jump cut stuff. And yes, I know this is more of a soap opera format now, but it just seems like whenever a scene looked like we were going to get a payoff, we just jumped to something else, and then we wouldn't come back for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that thing. So there was that aspect of it. But Karen and her lies, and I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again here. I think I talked about this during the live stream last night. I would have preferred if during the 3-month time skip, all of this baby stuff was handled. I'm talking about Zach and Fatima having custody of Michael. The DNA test for Karen was done, and it was proven that Zach isn't the father. And we could have just moved on past all of this. I would have loved to have seen, well, as the name of Karen's salon is, a fresh start for everybody. Because to still have Karen weighed down by this storyline, holding on to this apparent lie of hers, is ridiculous. And a running theme of the episode was, for some reason, you got like Pam and Miss Lisa making it seem like Zach is the answer to Karen's money issues. Like these two are still together. Even if he's the father, he's only obligated to pay child support, not save Karen's failing business. It just doesn't add up to me. But before moving into the actual review, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you liked the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe, and let's just jump into this thing. So we start off the episode with the sneak peek we got last night, which again, I really wish BET would drop these earlier than like 8 o'clock. That way fans got a chance to go, oh, okay, I really need to make plans to see the episode live tonight. So Zach, surprisingly, he was calm. You know, like, I am still not a fan of how he rolled in there last week, but I will give him credit. He maintained a calm, cool, and collected demeanor. Karen was the one getting in her feelings. And like I said before, you could tell she's lying about him being the baby daddy, because whenever she's about to be exposed, either for her foul behavior or her lies, she throws a tantrum and tries to walk off. Zach simply states, look, I didn't call you out of your name. I didn't call you a garden tool. You're the one who's putting those words into my mouth. Now, two things with this. Zach's approach, like I said, I don't like how he rolled up in there, but his demeanor, I give him props for that. But I really wish he did not use the word we when talking about how we need to know about, you know, this baby situation so we can move forward. It's like, don't make it about you and Fatima. This is about you and Karen. You need to make sure this baby's yours. And then, you know, one of the most confusing parts is, you know, I heard about how you were back in college. This has Fatima written all over it. But Fatima didn't even know you in college, so you would think Karen would be able to figure out, wait, who you been talking to that told you about how I was in college? And it's funny because in a minute we got Danni rolling in drunk as a skunk. But yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. So in the midst of their back and forth, you have Trey, who overhears the conversation, and somebody, and look, I'm trying to figure out, like, when the hell did he even show up? Like, somebody pointed out that, Jeremy, if you go back to last week when Zach came in, you'll see Trey sitting there. Good observation, if that's true. Hang on a sec. Actually, let me pause this recording and check. Yes, I did check, and Trey is sitting in the back when Zach shows up to confront Karen. Why did he come back? Maybe somebody's like, maybe he delivered boxes that late at night. I don't know. Maybe whatever, he's there, I guess, for the point of this scene. This man had no business getting up. He as soon as he kind of, and I remember in the sneak peek, which is funny because on Instagram, I don't think that sneak peek was, yeah, I think the Instagram sneak peek I saw ended with Karen walking off. But then the sneak peek I saw on Twitter and Facebook, that included Trey kind of stepping over to Zach. But no, this was ridiculous. This was ridiculous. So he's like, I don't want no problems, bro. I'm just making sure lady's fine. This has nothing to do with you. Sit down. So then Miss Lisa comes over and wants to know what's going on. And it's like, Zach, come on, I told you not to come. And then, he's like, this your man, come on now. Because he's kind of looking Trey up and down like, this dude, really? And I got to applaud Zach because he was better than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to make a scene and whatnot, when in reality, Karen was the one making a spectacle of herself. And, this was way better than how he handled the elevator stuff with Paul and Fatima. So Miss Lisa takes Zach out. And then Pam vouches for Zach because Karen's like, I changed my mind. I don't want you to be in this kid's life anymore. So even Pam is like vouching for Zach. But then at the same time, she's like, you need to forget about Trey. It's like, delivering those boxes and whatnot isn't going to pay the bills. You need to focus on Zach. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the salon? So then we have Danni coming out of nowhere giving this drunk speech. And I'm like, oh, is she going to just tell it all? Like expose that she was the one that told Zach to come down here? But somebody pointed out, it was like, well, Jeremy, go back to last week. Remember that Tony gave Danni the rest of the day off to like think things through and work things out with Karen. So somebody's like, maybe Danni showed up in the form of guilt because she knows she was the reason Zach showed up there in the first place. Now, if only she had popped up to say something earlier, like imagine if she started giving a speech in the midst of Zach and Karen and Trey's moment there. And she would have just told it all. Because remember, when Zach was like, I heard how you were in college. And then, she talked about Fatima. And I'm like, no, it's like, wouldn't she put two and two together that one of her girls says something to Zach about her? And then the girl that said something shows up drunk as a skunk. So this moment really was random as I don't know what. But when you look at the context of the last episode, it does make sense. But it really didn't go anywhere. So from there, we do... I believe this is the gay bar. They just kind of like changed the set. Because if I remember correctly, towards the end of season 6, like Calvin's last scene where he told Maurice he would find a nice guy for him. But then Maurice went to the bar by himself and then met that one dude who didn't have a cell phone who we will never see again. So we're at this party. Chris is, DJing and whatnot. Maurice walks in and remember, apparently his online sex thing is a very big deal because he's treated like a celebrity when he walks in. Everybody wants selfies and trying to fill up on him. But he's there to meet I guess you could say a pay date, somebody that paid to spend time with him. His name is Grayson, a tall, attractive man who has been in ATL for like 8 months because his last partner died of cancer. So, him and Maurice have a decent first interaction and, we'll just see where that goes. So from there, we go over to Zach returning home and, I think Fatima walks up to him because I think Zach was going to the gym or something, kind of like, or the basketball court to burn off some steam after the situation at the salon. And, Fatima wanted to know how it went. And, she got in her, feelings about it. Did she put her hands on you or anything? No, she didn't do that. Well, it's like, yeah, you never know with her. So basically they talk about the Michael situation and Fatima's just so understanding. She already took it upon herself to like research, like, look, if we are to get custody of Michael, I looked into it, like he's been through a lot. So maybe, here are some things I looked up, like, a potential therapist and like different schools he can go to because, once we get custody of him, we need to make sure he's, taken care of in the best way possible. So that was really good. And then, they kind of, he talked about, it's like, ooh, I would marry you tomorrow if I could. Let's practice for the honeymoon. So they rush upstairs. So that was pretty cool. Then I believe we skip to the next day. because well, actually, no, is it the next day? Yeah, I think it is, because Fatima comes into Andy's office and she's on the phone with Jordan for a a date for 7:30 dinner that night. And Andy knows about the Salon situation because Danny was talking about how, oh, I heard Zach almost got beaten up by some, guy. And it's like, wait, what? No. Well, then again, the story is kind of wonky because remember, this is Danny and she was high and she had been smoking. Well, high and she had been drinking. So I don't know exactly what went on, but he shouldn't have went down there the way he did on that particular day. And I'm like, thank you, Andy. So it's kind of funny because last night, or the night before, when Zach was telling Fatima about Karen and this delivery guy, Fatima had that face like she was going to look into it because it is possible. Because now Zach is wondering if this delivery dude could be the baby daddy, and you just never know because Karen, she's quite the piece of work. So, Hayden is talking with some of the big bosses, and Andy is a little worried about that because there's this hilarious scene because, Fatima is warning her. It's like, what I saw that, Hayden, he's probably plotting something. He's like talking with some of the big wigs. So, we need to be at the top of our game. There's this moment where Andy is like looking, I think either, through her office or, she's standing in the hallway with Fatima and she sees Hayden cheesing with like, one of the white guys. And he's shaking her hand, he's smiling, then he looks at her while he's smiling. I thought that was hilarious. But from there, we go over to Gary's office, and he is like listening to a news report on Jordan. Something about how, the team he's coaching is doing well. They might win the game and the championship and whatnot. And that might be another notch in his belt because he might be a shoe-in for city council because apparently, and Fatima brings this up to Andy as well, I think that Jordan's opponent in the city council, run for the seat, there was some scandal that came out about him having an affair with like an intern or something, like an intern that was 16. I don't know if like this happened when she was underage or if it happened behind the scenes for years, but he had always promoted himself as like, a family man. But for this scandal to come out, it just shot it down his chances of winning. And then Fatima just tells him, like, look, these politicians are something else. And, if they came after one guy, they're probably going to come after Jordan, too. So you just need to kind of confront him about, if there are any skeletons in his closet or anything like that. So, yeah, with Gary slamming his computer, it looks like there's some sort of story he's telling Hudson they need to come up with right now. So they leave to go talk with some guy. Penelope comes in. And she brought Gary lunch, and this girl, she's going to get caught doing something stupid. She's yet again digging through his desk and all this stuff. And then she hears the door open and like slams the desk shut. So then Gary automatically knows, what are you doing in here looking through my stuff? Well, no, I just came in here because I wanted to surprise you with lunch. And, well, the restaurant didn't give me any, plastics utensils. So I was looking to see if you had anything. Gary kind of goes off on her, but Penelope like soothes the beast, saying like, look, I just came to surprise you. I know you're stressed out. I'll see you at home, okay? So then when she leaves, we have Hudson come back in, and basically the story on Jordan is about to come out, and apparently some girl was paid off. So it looks like they're cooking up some sort of cockamamie bullcrap story to ruin Jordan's chances of taking the city councilman seat. But before Gary showed up, Penelope found a picture of Andy in his desk and also a warrant for something. We don't know what it is. So there is a warrant for something in Gary's desk. And somebody also pointed out to me that there was some document and a picture of somebody told me, hey, that's a picture of Aaron's ex-wife, Fawn. So this might be some elaborate scheme put together. I don't know what this story is going to be, but it's not going to be good when it hits the airwaves. So we go over to the therapy session, and this was probably my favorite scene of the episode. And Danni talks about, her relationship with Preston, how things went bad with Jonah, and then the therapist's reaction to Danni saying, I ran him over. she did go through an abusive relationship in college with a guy named Rusty, who was like a star athlete. And he always criticized her about the way she looked, from her weight, makeup, and stuff like that. And then one time they were in the locker room and she was getting called slut and he was choking her and stuff like that. And from there, we actually have her talking with Tony. So he just wants to know what happened, because I think that Danni was in Tony's office and she was on the phone with Sabrina about the therapy session, talking about that college situation with Rusty. But then as soon as he comes in, she rushes her off the phone, and Tony just wants to check in to see if everything went okay. But Danni is kind of, just ducking and dodging the questions. And before Tony's like, well, hey, you want to get lunch at the food court or something? No, I actually, there's a big flight coming in. I need to get back to my station. So then at the end of the day, when they're about to go, when she's about to clock out, she stops by the office to apologize. And this was a moment where I actually felt like Danni was having some growth. And it's like, look, my therapist was like, one of my defense mechanisms is, putting up walls and, shutting people out. But Tony just wanted to say, look, I know therapy is a scary thing and sometimes you have to unbox things you've been repressing. But the thing is, just know that I'm here for you. Like, you don't have to push me away. And, can I come over tonight? No, I'd rather be by myself. So then when he's like, look, you know what? I'll be here when you're ready. So it's fine. And when she leaves and, he looks like he's about to get back to work, she pops in and says, you know what? You can come over. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in about half an hour. So I really like that. That was good. That was good. But of course, the promo of these two, that's going to be very interesting next week. So we go over to Sabrina and Rich. Rich is at the restaurant, and Sabrina comes in, and he's excited. And this was funny because he shows her a blueprint of a new restaurant location. I don't know if this means like he's expanding, like, he's going to have multiple fuel restaurants, or if his small shop here is going to be moving to a bigger location. I'm more inclined to think that this is a second fuel shop, because he talked about how this shop got like a new renovation. So it makes sense if he has more than one, kind of like Starbucks or something, like, he's slowly expanding his business. And it's also fun to see him light up when he opened the blueprint, because the character Bill that he plays in Bruh is an architect. So I just love the kind of connection there. So he's showing Sabrina all this stuff and, all of his plans and whatnot. Like, I was thinking like, this could be like an outdoor kind of stage for like, musical acts and whatnot. And, we can have a bigger juice station here. And in the midst of his glee, you have Sabrina noticing a woman coming in holding a baby. And then out of nowhere, oh, that's great. I decided something myself. Oh, that's great. Like, you know what, baby, if you decide to do entrepreneurial stuff yourself, I'll be more than happy to help you out with that. And I want to freeze my eggs. And it's like, wow. And the mood just completely changed. And for good reason. And, it's funny because I did videos leading up to this episode. I think I did a short. And even in my trailer breakdown for the episode, I talked about how, yeah, if Rich has an issue with Sabrina freezing her eggs, then that's kind of a red flag, because it's like her own maternal prenup. Like, hey, if things don't work out with us, I still want to have the option to have kids. And that's completely well within Sabrina's control to make that decision. And if Rich has a problem, then that's a red flag. But the thing about it is, especially in the promo for next week, Sabrina is seemingly passive aggressive about this. I mean, think about like the way she just dropped this bomb. It was no better than, Zach barging in on Karen's big day to talk about a DNA test. It's like, you could have waited. What was stopping you from waiting until tomorrow to get that thing done? Why did you have to step on her big day like that? And, Rich, I was about to call him Bill. Rich was having a very exciting moment. Like, look, hey, I want to share this moment with my woman. I want to tell her about how this plan of mine to expand a restaurant is going to be a big deal. But then I'm freezing my eggs. And honestly, that's kind of selfish. Not her freezing her eggs, but her just blurting it out the way she did. And then in the promo for next week when she's with the girls, she's like, well, you know what? I plan on freezing my eggs. And if Rich has a problem with that, then he's just not the man for me because I want to be a mommy. This just seems to come out of nowhere. Also, it was hilarious the way that Rich kind of just killed them. Well, because Sabrina made the moment awkward, he's like, hey, you know what? This is a business rush hour, so I need to go handle business. And there's only 2 customers in the whole place. And there's already somebody at the register taking care of the order. So I just love the way Sabrina looked around like, what? So she just got her purse and she left. But, yeah, I mean, it's just like weird the way that she's doing this because she talked about, I want your sperm when she's drunk as a skunk. And then they have this deep discussion about kids. And it's like, what was it, the episode before last when they talked about how, hey, you know what? I don't want kids, you want kids, but we like each other a lot. So let's just kind of see where this goes. And maybe one of us will change the way we think. But if not, hey, we'll go from there. But it's just weird to me that all of a sudden she's making this massive decision out of nowhere. And they just agree like, look, we'll just see how things play out. So yeah, I can understand Rich being caught completely off guard by this. So from there, Sabrina's back at the bank and she literally puts Paige in her place because Paige was trying to talk about how, yeah, I think you messed up on one of your accounts, $500,000, and I called the customer to talk about it. And then Sabrina was like, actually, Paige, if you looked at the paperwork a little closer, you would have realized that you got it wrong. The $500,000 was in the right place. You just read the wrong column. Now I had to call this customer back because you probably got him panicked about $500,000 that is accounted for and you made it seem like it wasn't. So from now on, why don't you think about your own accounts and whatnot and leave mine to me? So she walks off completely defeated. And remember, it looks like she's doing all this just to kind of usurp the position to be bank manager from Sabrina. And I think in this episode, Paige had more of the, well, actually, Sabrina, that blonde girl personality that seemed to be more, apparent in this episode for whatever reason. So she calls Maurice and they agree to meet sometime tomorrow to kind of talk about everything. Obviously, Maurice wants to talk about this guy he met, and Sabrina wants to talk about the situation about, probably freezing her eggs or the situation with Paige. Now, Maurice kind of gives her a pep talk about, don't let that Paige get in your way. You get that bank manager job back. And you know what, if I was there, I would make sure she wouldn't be trying to walk all over you, which kind of makes sense as to why Maurice kept his job for as long as he did. He probably was there because Sabrina, even though she was bank manager, she's not really assertive. So I can imagine like any sort of employee or customer that tried to give her an attitude, I would bet that Maurice was there to kind of take over for her. Like, I know you're not giving my boss any sort of attitude. So Maurice was the backbone that Sabrina doesn't have. So it seems to be that Maurice is banking on, no pun intended, Sabrina getting her job back. That way he can get his back. That's what I'm thinking. So from there, Hayden calls Gary about the situation on Joe and like, look, I saw your girl talking to you, overheard your girl talking to that Jordan guy. So you might want to find some sort of dirt to screw over his campaign. And then Fatima warns Andy about Jordan. Oh yeah, I already talked about that. So that was a brief phone call Hayden and Gary had. But earlier in the episode, let me talk about this. Zach was looking over some paperwork for the hearing some more. And it's kind of weird because even though he said, like, I just want to be there in my kids' lives. And then Fatima was like, well, the kid for sure is yours. Like, then Zach kind of got attitude. He was like, really? You want to do this now? And I'm like, well, Zach, you're the one that confronted Karen about the DNA test. Now, all of a sudden, you want to get Ben out of shape because Fatima mentioned, like, well, the kid that's yours. And make sure the other one's yours before you try to get involved. So I don't really see the problem with that. But I will say this. The Zach and Fatima scenes in this episode really made it feel like it was Zatima. That's what it felt like. From there, Oh yeah, two more scenes to talk about. So we're at the salon. Miss Lisa comes by, and it's good to see her just constantly popping up the way she is. Um, Pam, she's doing a live stream. Her product is called Roots to Riches, and honestly, I'm rooting for Pam. I want Pam's product to, constantly get sold out, and it turns out that she is a better businesswoman than Karen. I would love that. All the times Karen has put her down, and I'm rooting for Pam. Pam has my support. I want that product to blow up, and she gets so big that she probably decides to leave the salon, or not just maybe she doesn't leave the salon necessarily, but her product is so good that it's going to be sold in stores and other salons in Atlanta. That would be wild. So from there, Mama Lisa cuts Karen a check, and we don't know how much it's for, but apparently it's probably to help her out of her current situation. My guess is that this check was probably the money that Karen got from her personal account to foot the bill for that month's rent on the building, because Pam putting all of her products on the company line loan line messed up the auto pay. So that's probably what's going on here. But Miss Lisa gives her, just a real talk, like, so what's your plan? Like, in the next few months from now, you got the salon. It just opened up, but you're still in a bit of a hole. So what's your long-term plan? Because Karen's like, well, the salon's opening. We're getting new clients every day, and we're going to pick up. But what if it doesn't pick up? And I know it hurts to hear that from a parent, but it's just real talk. Like, what's your backup plan in case things don't work out the way you think? And she tells her about the fact that, what, get the damn DNA test. That way, Zach can help you out instead of getting money from me. And that goes back to what I was saying in another video. Like, why is everyone acting like Zach is going to foot the bill for this failing salon? Zach's only obligation, if the kid is his, is to pay child support, and that's after the kid is born. Not this bit. They're not together anymore. I don't know. And then Karen's like, well, I'm tired of being accused and whatnot. Then take the damn test. I'll think about it. Yeah, okay, whatever. So then she leaves, and then Trey talks to her about the night before and invites her out to lunch, and then says, I overheard everything, and honestly, that's a baby daddy. Like, I would have the same energy. I'd want to be in my kid's life. And then Karen is like getting bent out of shape. But here's the thing, though. You have to remember, Karen always gets bent out of shape when everybody has an opposing opinion to her. No one's ever on my side. Well, you're being selfish. And I mean, not getting this test is selfish to Zach, because you're not being truthful about who the baby daddy is. So there's that. But the last thing to talk about, Jordan and Andy are at dinner, and I mentioned this in the live, but I don't know. It's just the touchy-feely thing that Jordan has, and I don't know. It's kind of cringy, but that's just me. And they talked about, the scandal thing. Is like, oh yeah, not all I know politicians have skeletons in their closet, but hey, I have nothing on me that's as big as that one dude having that scandal and he's married and whatnot. So they're out on the sidewalk. Gary's, in his feelings. I don't know if Gary knew they were there and he was just stalking them, or if he just so happened to be parked outside and he's snorting some, drugs, and he got it from Hudson earlier. And I thought that he was going to fire a couple rounds at Jordan's vehicle as they drove, and then he would speed off. But no, he takes the gun out, and then as they drive off, he kind of just grunts, and that's the end of the episode. So yeah, this was an okay episode, slightly better than last week, but nothing super stellar. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.